think it is. The Bitcoin hedge fund tricks may be ending right now, because it's hedge funds versus mutual funds. We'll talk about that. Everyone is talking about the yen carry trade. Excellent. Every time they do that, it's a low or it stops. The Japanese, in 10 words or less, have actually handled their inflation problem by allowing long-term interest rates to rise. They don't have to blow up the whole world. They're not going to blow up the whole world. It's ridiculous. But their policy meeting and their big decision is on the 18th of December. The Fed's big decision is on the 10th of December, but we'll go through how QE has already started. That's right. It's already started. It's very quiet. Jerome Powell did a speech yesterday. Want to know what he said? Nothing. Because he's got to pump money into the markets to save the banks. And he's going to do it and do it and do it and do it. And he started yesterday, and we just couldn't stop selling it. Why? Well, let me tell you. Sunday night, everyone traveling for Thanksgiving, people get levered long, hedge funds come in, use an algorithm, yen, bonds, problem in Japan. And what do algos do? They pick on Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin has no big players underneath it, right? It's not like a mutual fund, but oh, wait, hold on a second. Hey, Vanguard, which is the size of Fidelity with a retail trading audience like Schwab, is adding Bitcoin ETF trading today. So at 40K, Vanguard said, we're never touching this Bitcoin ETF. Nobody at Vanguard can do the Bitcoin ETF, period. Then at 120, their customers lost their mind. And they said, fine, we'll put it in December. And now they're putting it in. So what's Vanguard going to do? Is Vanguard going to say, okay, customers, come on in? And then they're going to let Bitcoin go to 60 or 70? Stop it. Not happening. And Vanguard can stop it from happening by just having their technology mutual funds, which are gigantic, just start buying Bitcoin. Have 1% of all the big tech funds have Bitcoin. You got any idea how much money that is? So what we have is hedge fund shenanigans versus mutual funds. Now, 9.5 times out of 10, hedge funds lose. They won in 2008, and all the hedge fund guys have their big short fantasy. They want to be in the movie. They want to crack Bitcoin. They want to crack the yen carry trade. Let's blow it up and have it go to zero. Stop it. As I've said, it's the big long. So if you have Vanguard buying Bitcoin, hedge funds short, bullish people out because it's the end of the cycle, whatever. Okay. Everybody is negative or scared or short, with Vanguard coming up from underneath. And I also can't believe Coinbase or Galaxy Digital's trading desk is just going to sit there and watch Bitcoin melt down. I just can't believe that. But even if you do believe that, Vanguard is definitely not going to lead their retail client base. They're not going to feed them to the wolves. They're going to be underneath the Bitcoin ETF. Because if Vanguard's people wanted it, yeah, they may trade it, right? Everybody thinks, it's like, oh yeah, they want to leverage trade Bitcoin. No. They want to put their money in a mutual fund that has a bunch of Bitcoin. Or they want to just put it in their portfolio, or they want their managed accounts to have 1% Bitcoin. Either way, there's demand now. And of course, no one knows this and no one understands it because everybody is still shocked, wounded, upset. And of course, I get it, right? The market's wrecked. Now, on that note, some technical analysis. Did you know that 84K is the 38% retracement, or a simple 1/3 pullback from 16K to 126K. So you do this huge rally, Bitcoin 10Xs, and all you do is do a 38% retracement. And they were selling this market at 84K yesterday like it was the end of the world. Well, guess what? It's not. It's a completely normal correction. Completely normal. Like Ethereum. Ethereum rallied from a ridiculous level at 1,300, where it was in 2017, all the way up to 4,800. And guess what ETH has done? Retraced 62%, that magic crypto retracement level, retraced 62% down to 2,700. And again, everyone's selling ETH yesterday like a crazy person. Meanwhile, back at the XRP and Solana ranch, you have DeMark 13 bottoms going on the XRP and Solana daily chart. What does that mean? Well, those are signals that big legacy investors use to go, hey, there's a bottom. Then you're like, wait a minute. Isn't there a Solana and XRP ETF? I don't know if they can do it at Vanguard, but somebody can do it. Somebody can do it. I mean, Solana at 125, really? I mean, even if Solana is pinned at 180, which it has been, meaning it goes to 225 and goes back down to 180, and then it goes to 120, and then it goes back to 180. So what the heck are we doing? We're all down on crypto and it's over. You have massive basic support off monthly charts. You have tactical signals that are constructive. You have sort of the fulfillment of an unbelievable prophecy from one of our models that over the next 48 hours, they're going to wipe out 90% of Zcash traders. Boy, I'm buying myself a highlighter. If I ever see anything like that, oh my God. Like, is there anyone left in Zcash? Oh, by the way, Zcash close to a 62% retracement. I think they did it this morning because, it's like there was a final 8% heave in Zcash. Fascinating, as Mr. Spock would say, right? Zcash got away from everybody at 700, and now at 350 or 320, it was like, oh my God, I can't touch that. When that's exactly when you should be just like piling in. Like Tobie's big level in Zcash was 350, and she gave me the clairvoyant head tilt the other day and goes, yeah, 350, that's my level in Zcash. I'm like, oh my God. End of stream, I'm buying. We sat there and watched this thing overnight. So, does it look terrible in some aspects? Sure. Does it trade terrible? Sure. It never trades good at a bottom. Never. It never looks good. I mean, did it look terrible at the top at 126? Where you're like, oh my God, I got to get out of this. It's terrible. No, you were just FOMOing in like everybody's. The FOMO was unbelievable. Now, is this the low today, right this minute, right now? Probably not. Right. They're probably going to leave it down here for 2 days. Right. And the longer they leave it down here in this 80 handle, the more convinced people will be that it's negative. Fine. We've seen real fear, but it's orchestrated, right? Hedge funds just caught everyone leaning one way. They scared you with a yen carry trade story that in my mind is not a story. Interest rates rose, bonds went down in Japan so they can take care of an inflation problem, which is a short-term thing. If anything, Japanese government bonds, just as an aside, feel like a buy to me because they have a long-term deflation problem. But of course, you don't hear anything about that because that doesn't feed into the big short fantasies. And I still think anybody who's doing the big short fantasy on Bitcoin and you get a dovish Fed with the rate cut, right? Powell has already put $13 billion into the market. So QT stopped today, and they couldn't even wait for QT to stop. They had to start doing QE yesterday. They put $13 billion into the market. The last time they did something like this was in 2019 when there was, problems with banks lending money to each other. Let's call it funding stress. Fed came in 2019 and ended the funding stress. Now, back then, it wasn't a connection to risk assets. So stocks or crypto didn't really go one way or the other. Keeping in mind that was 3 or 4 months before cough, cold, and flu hit, right? At least hit the Western world. But when the Fed did it back in 2019, injecting money like this, yeah, it solved the problem. What, you think they're going to do it once and be like, okay, yeah, that's enough? No. They're going to put money in until the problem is solved. And then someone's going to wake up and go, wow, everyone's short Bitcoin, and they've been doing QE for 2 weeks. I mean, literally, that's probably what's going to happen in the middle of December. That's what's going to happen. By the way, so if you want to continue to hear about Michael Saylor, right, about QE, about gold, and about how it's time to stop picking on MicroStrategy, and big hedge funds are stopping picking on MicroStrategy, you want to stay right here. I'm your host, Bill Noble, and I strongly suggest you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so we can continue to help you, because you really have to ask yourself, who on YouTube is actually helping you in an environment like this? That would be me, Tobie Ward, and the Eagle King. So feel free to come see us and stay tuned. Today is the 3-year anniversary of this YouTube channel, created under a storm of fire. We are still here, and I'm vindicated on Zcash. So congratulations to the Eagle King and Tobie. And of course, thank you to the viewers. Now, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. You thought we forgot about it. We didn't. Hedge funds have been picking on MicroStrategy stock. Everybody is down on Michael Saylor in the media. Everybody is wound up about it. And guess what? MicroStrategy stock is now priced basically at the value of the Bitcoin it holds. Close. It's worth a little bit more. Okay. So I don't know how much more they want to pick on Michael Saylor, because it doesn't make any sense to fade a guy who can invent instruments that retail and insurance companies will love because they pay interest, and use that to buy Bitcoin, and then tell me that a company like that doesn't deserve a little extra premium, a little extra juice, because it's not some dumb Bitcoin treasury company. They've got more Bitcoin than anyone's going to ever buy. You can't do that again. So I don't know where we got this idea that Michael Saylor wasn't special. And it's funny because he's been kind of stupid on Twitter the last 2 weeks. And, you know, he's either prone to this kind of dumb blurting, maybe he is, or maybe he just made everyone bearish on purpose to try to have everybody get it out of his system so we could all carry on, right? Because he's stupid, right? He said, well, they're going to print money and my software business can't compete with Microsoft, so I'm going to start buying Bitcoin at 10K, and never stopped. But, you know, that stock, you know, we don't want to touch it, right? At $500, it was unbelievable. But, what is it now? 178? It's radioactive. You don't touch it. You might get burned at 171. Down 3% yesterday. With the Bitcoin ETF, yesterday down 6%. Again, because they caught everybody over a holiday, like they always do. And of course, you heard about that on this show. Speaking of what you've heard about on this show, a little side note, a prediction by my cohort, Tobie Ward, in the YouTube member area, that her favorite ISO 20022 coin was QNT, Quant, XRP's little brother, that does stablecoin networks in Latin America. Guess what? QNT has done nothing but steadily go up, while this market has been cascading lower, or at least feeling like it is. And according to one source this morning, they're not only buying it, but they're pulling the supply off the exchanges, which means somebody might use it. Like, wait a minute. There's a 13 bottom in XRP, and XRP's little brother is going up while everything else is going down, and they're ripping the supply off the exchanges. So what could that mean for XRP, for Stellar, for Hedera, for Algorand? Oh, it doesn't mean anything, because all coins are all all coins are done. You know, it's all over. Crypto, it's over. Are you kidding? Vanguard's coming in. The Fed's doing QE. XRP-like coins are getting adopted, but it's over. It's over for Michael Saylor. I read a source, like, I don't know. This guy's one of the smartest guys I know. I owe him a lot. He's the guy who called me up and said, hey, Bill, can you look at Bitcoin? He has been like, hey, this MicroStrategy stock is way out of whack versus Bitcoin. And he came out this morning and goes, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I'm going to take profits on my idea. So, you know, all these hedge funds, right? They've all unwound that trade, which involved them dumping Bitcoin, right? And everybody's like, oh, well, Bitcoin is like it's in a tightening cycle. It has, right? Money was, you know, Bitcoin was dumped and that money left the ecosystem, right? There's this whole yen carry trade fear, which frankly has nothing to do with Bitcoin. But, you know, it is kind of a tightening force, and the booga, booga, booga about it scares everybody. So Bitcoin's been through all that. And where is it? Oh, it's at 87. It's higher than where it was when we had the tariff booga, booga back in April. It's a higher low on more scary stuff. Really? Wow, it's dead, huh? Okay. I guess it's dead. So you watch what happens. Watch this. You ready? So Powell comes out and just cuts rates and gets off the podium. The guy that they've nominated for the Fed is already out saying that productivity gains, right? The more productivity gains you get from AI, and if certain equipment for AI, like telecommunications equipment, continues to get cheaper, you can cut rates. Because that's what Greenspan did back when, you know, certain things were happening when tech was innovating, say 94, 95. He focused on productivity, which is what the new Fed guy who starts in May is going to say. So everyone is like, what's Powell doing? What's Powell saying? Nothing. Nothing. He's going to cut rates, walk off the stage. They're going to continue to do stealth QE with no one paying attention. Meanwhile, the new Fed guy is going to get on the tape and go, yeah, you know what? It's all clear to lower rates. They've been looking at this the wrong way, and they have. And even if they hadn't, he's doing it anyway. He's doing that. Powell's people are doing QE. What do you think the next guy's going to do? They got to win a midterm election. The hose, you know, isn't massively on, but, you know, they've opened the hydrant. Now, I think people in crypto got levered long, one, because they're dumb, and two, because they just, you know, they so want that Santa rally, and the hedge funds keep liquidating them to the point where people think there's something wrong with Bitcoin, as I said. Meanwhile, you have dovish comments are going to come out of like the guy that runs the Fed or the guy that will run the Fed. You have a Bank of Japan meeting on the 18th, right, where everybody expects the Bank of Japan to announce the end of the world, that they're going to hike rates. First of all, they've never done that if it's the end of the world. Second of all, whatever inflation problem they have has been handled by their bond market. They don't have to handle it. Now, I don't know. Can you have more hysterics over there? Can there be a massive fear trade in front of the meeting? Sure. Whatever. Never underestimate Legacy's penchant for drama. But the winter solstice is 2 days after that on December 20th. Sometimes these solstices or these equinoxes can represent major turns in trends. So feel free to hit this market going into, oh my God, the Bank of Japan thing. Oh my God, oh my God. A, it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. B, the problem has already been solved. So what are these characters doing? How are they going to push this market down with Vanguard underneath it and more bullish, so many bullish catalysts? I have to like print out 6 pages and then make notes all over it. What are we doing? What are we doing? Solana up 3%. Wow. So everyone's like, hey, Solana at 125. Wow, that's cheap. Of course it's cheap. You know, I got a short video on XRP that's got 14,000 views so far that says $2 is the new 55 cents. So XRP sits at $2 like it sits at 55 cents, frustrates everybody. QNT gets ripped off the exchanges. And how long do you think that's going to take to move into XRP, right? How many bounces do you need in Zcash before everyone goes, maybe we should buy the dip? You just retraced 2/3 of the whole rally. What exactly has changed in Zcash? There's no privacy narrative for next year. You even got a little sale going on in Monero. Monero's down today. Monero has been like quietly the strongest thing in crypto. What? We're not doing a privacy trade next year? You got to see this Lux Algo chart of the heaving in Zcash. Everybody who bought it at 700 puked it out at 300. And we have a new VIP member joining. Thank you for hitting the join button. Warm on. Thank you, sir. Welcome to our show. Now, let's talk about gold. Oh, my God. If I have to listen to one more legacy guy going, oh, yeah, I love gold. Gold's going higher. Oh, I love silver. Silver's going to 100. I love it. It's going up. Okay, well, it probably is, but let's take the other side just for a second. Why does gold go up? Well, because there's stress in the system. That's it, right? Stress in the system. Banks can't lend to each other. Everyone's wound up about what's going on with the Japanese government bond market, which is serious, right? I mean, their interest rates are rising dramatically. It is shocking, right? Interest rates over there on like the 10-year and 30-year rates are back at or above where they were, 15 years ago. So, yeah, that's crazy. And everyone's like, oh, my God, I got to buy gold or silver. But here's a question for you. What happens if a new Fed chairman comes out and goes, yeah, you know what? We're going to have a different attitude about rates. And the existing Fed is pushing $13 billion into the market and is going to solve the funding stress problem just like they did in 2019. Now, I don't know how much money they're going to have to push in. But what, you think it's a one and done? Like, yeah. Give him a little. Give him a kid's portion. Give him the 6-piece chicken McNuggets. Oh, no. No. They're going to give him the 50-piece party basket until everyone calms down because you cannot have a bank blow up at Christmas. You can't. You absolutely cannot. Besson's not going to allow that. The Orange Man certainly is not going to allow that because he's going to tell Besson, no way, as if he has to. Besson is probably the other way. Besson is telling the Orange Man, dude, we have to do this because this cannot happen. Right? They're on the phone with Powell, and guess what? It's not happening. It's not happening. Everybody's like, oh, the big short fantasy. Yeah, okay, dude, we're going to do that at Christmas. Again, this reminds me of 3 years ago. No one wanted to touch Bitcoin at 16 or 14K because it was obviously going to 10K. I mean, some of the smartest guys in crypto didn't want to touch it. It sat at 16K for 6 months. Michael Saylor sat, with Bitcoin 50% below his average price for 6 months. And everyone thought it was going to 10K, just like everyone thinks it's going to 70 or 50 or it's a bear market or whatever the freaking story is. And even if there is a down move next year, which, my partner in her forecast, she has much higher than the expected short term and then a wash back down at some point. But they're going to break it now? No, they're not. They're going to get squeezed out to either 98, 108, or 114, which is Michael Saylor's average price for this year. That's what could happen. Now, of course, if the Bank of Japan hikes rates, everyone's going to get hysterical, and that's the risk to the view. But do you want to be in charge of the Japanese government and get a phone call from the Orange Man 7 days before Christmas as to why you just blew up the whole world? Come on. Is anyone thinking here, or is it just that big short Kool-Aid that they can't stop drinking over there in Legacy? They're going to pick on it and pick on it and pick on it. And you know what? It's not going to work. It's not. Because again, start thinking about this. Let's just pretend for a moment. Let's try to dream a little dream. Right? Let's imagine crypto turns here. Or at least crypto stabilizes. So you're going to have Michael Saylor on CNBC every day. every single day trying to get Vanguard going. Like Saylor's PR companies and his marketing group, they're going to write checks. He's going to be everywhere. Tom Lee is already everywhere. Everybody was making fun of him yesterday as he pulled out the 2018 playbook of talking about pie in the sky upside targets as the market cascaded lower. He did it in 2018, got himself famous for the guy with the $15,000 Bitcoin target at the end of the year as it fell to 3,000. Everyone made fun of him. He was on the news every day. They couldn't stop making fun of him until like 4 months later, Bitcoin spiked from 3 to 6 and then from 7 to 13 or 19, just like that. And it ain't going to take months in this case because, you know, that was a bear market. That was winter. That was like a problem with miners and then no sponsorship, winter. Okay. Yeah, this is a completely different environment. We got the Fed putting money into the system at Christmas in a midterm election year with a new Fed guy coming in May, and everybody is bearish, short, hedged, out, discouraged, whatever. Like, people may be out of the market psychologically. Like, the psychological damage of doing that to people over a holiday weekend cannot be underestimated, right? You know, you think everything's great. You have a holiday. It's nice. You go to bed. You wake up. The whole thing's down 6%. Bitcoin is horrible. And it looks like it's just going to crack. And you sit there and have to look at this red ink all day. You're standing there with your phone, staring at it all day. Like, this is the fear greed thing that they don't quantify. You can't quantify of what it's like to look at Bitcoin down 6% all day. So the hedge funds blew everybody out overnight, and then everybody spends that entire day convincing themselves that there must be a reason for this and there must be something wrong with crypto. No, crypto is just a small market that can get pushed around. This is what hedge funds do. Okay. So, but it can happen to hedge funds in the other direction. If they don't own enough Bitcoin, if they have hedges on, or these larger players that own the Bitcoin ETF have put hedges on or bought insurance against more downside, when you unwind those things, when you get rid of your insurance, that's buying pressure. So they're not going to get rid of their insurance now. Good. Good. You boys keep your insurance. Then what happens if this thing prints 94 or it gaps to 98 because the thing everybody is afraid of doesn't happen? It doesn't happen. I don't know why it would happen. The market's made this huge list that, you know, like the Bank of Japan usually chickens out. They had a chicken out back in 2024 when this whole thing really almost kind of blew up the system with higher Japanese rates, and they're going to do that at Christmas? Oh my God. Absolutely. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right? I think if you look at the primary buy zone from our model in Bitcoin, it was like 84 to 87K. So I guess the good news is if you believe in the market and you think any part of this is correct, the market is still kind of inside a support zone, right? It hasn't like done anything terrible. It hasn't done anything good. It's just kind of like in the risky accumulation zone. And obviously, if it holds above 90, you know, it's kind of a bad joke over the weekend. It was holding above 90 and looked just fine before they just smashed it. But if it ever does reclaim 90, okay, if it does reclaim 90, watch out. Watch out, because everyone's bearish. And the thing that's so funny is everybody is expecting stonks to catch up to Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. Well, what happens if Bitcoin turns around and catches up with stocks on the upside? And then next year, if there's going to be a down trade, it'll probably be led by stocks and some kind of Mag 7 accounting problem, which, you know, is the worst kept secret in the whole world. Now, that may drag Bitcoin down too, but what exactly does that have to do with Bitcoin? Nothing. It just may go with stonks as stonks break. I mean, if I have to listen to one more legacy podcast, well, I love gold, but I think Bitcoin is in trouble. Okay. And oh, yeah, stocks have to definitely catch up with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an early warning sign that something is wrong. No. Bitcoin is a sign that big players can smash Bitcoin if there's no one underneath to buy it. Like as soon as Saylor stops buying it and retail gets levered long or retail just gets long, period, they just smash it. That's it. We can scare everyone out with the 55-week moving average. Okay, yeah, just hit it. Everyone's like, oh, the institutions are coming. This is going to be great. No, folks, this is what the institutions do, which is why you should subscribe to the channel because, nobody else on YouTube, I don't think, gets this. And I don't think they get it in the legacy world, right? One thing Tobie says is that whatever you've used to analyze crypto in the past, yeah, okay, take it, wad it up, and throw it out the window. That's it. So I listen to all these characters like, oh, I love gold and hate stocks. And, oh, my God, there's something wrong with Bitcoin. No. Boys, even if you think it's not the 4-year cycle, that's wrong. So it's just like double wrong. It's a double shot. Crypto people are like 4-year cycle, 55-week moving average, wrong, honestly. Then in legacy, they're like, well, I love gold and stocks should catch up with Bitcoin and blah, blah, blah. They're using everything that they used last year, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, 2 months ago. And guess what? That's all out the window. It's out the window because of the Satoshi white paper, right? We need hard money. That's it. We need hard money. They got to print and we need hard money. AI is coming and we need privacy. Stablecoins are here and we need layer ones. Does anybody remember stablecoins? Solana is at 120, left on the curb like so much garbage. There's not one word about stablecoins. Remember crypto Twitter? Oh my God, it's the Genius Act. Oh, stablecoins. You know how big the stablecoin thing is going to be? The Chinese central bank is out on the tape yesterday whining about cracking down on virtual currencies. Because when the stablecoin thing proliferates massively, and it will, because there will be buyers of the unending supply of U.S. government debt, who in God's name is going to want China's toilet paper currency? They actually have to have two for whatever reason. Who's going to want that or BRICS or any of that garbage when you can just get a digital dollar? We all think, oh my God, there's something wrong with the dollar. Yeah, there kind of is if you've been to Costco. But if you think we got problems, you got to go overseas. And, you give people in what I call the emerging market world the ability to get the US dollar on their phone. Oh, forget about it. And the Chinese know it. So they're whining. The Russians are whining. They're buying gold to try to back their toilet paper currency. And it's fine to be long gold. It's a good central bank reserve asset. But that doesn't mean people are going to want the currency instead of a digital dollar. So boo-hoo, communist Crimea River. Meanwhile, back at the crypto ranch, we've forgotten about all this. Stablecoins are running on ETH. Solana's the fastest thing ever. Stablecoins are running on XRP. XRP has like a stablecoin business that they're essentially buying companies. I don't know. We're not talking about that. Everybody's a yen carry trade expert, right? Crypto Twitter was a tariff inflation expert back in April. Everybody was an expert on tariffs. Turns out tariffs are deflationary because they blunt demand. So, wrong. Then everybody was looking at money supply. Wrong. A lot of that money was being pushed out of China and didn't wind up coming into crypto. So everybody got caught looking at that graph. And even if that does wind up being right, everybody was looking at it at the same time. Just like everybody was looking at fear, greed last week. Everything's like, oh my God, everyone's so afraid. No, actually, everyone was so afraid yesterday. So fear, greed's at 0. It can't possibly go any lower. Okay. Then they take it up to 90 and jam it down. Then everyone's forgotten about stable coins. And most likely, at least the thing that the legacy guys or the bullish crypto guys have trotted out is something called ISM, basically saying that, Bitcoin does good if the economy does good. So when they build stuff, this ISM indicator will go up and Bitcoin will follow it. Okay. Well, you know what? That's a good graph. Raul Paul's got it. He's super smart. I don't doubt it. And even if crypto Twitter picks that up, which they might, the thing that they won't pick up is as follows. I worked at a company where we hired a Wall Street economist from UBS to work in my group. And we did a huge study about what happens with commodities and crypto. So as it turns out, if gold and silver go up and the dollar goes down, ETH smokes to the upside. That's why there was this huge catch-up rally in ETH from 1,000 to 4,000. And now it's play it again, Sam, right? Silver's going up. People are in line outside metal shops to sell gold and silver for Christmas presents and food. But, of course, it's going up forever. And no one wants to talk about ETH. No one wants to talk about ETH. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And then here's the kicker. Because, I don't know, we published this. It was it was a statistical study. And guess what the ultimate thing is, ironically, for Bitcoin, especially from the macro world? What's the juicy statistical thing that Bitcoin is connected to? It's not necessarily manufacturing like ISM. It's oil. Oil down, Bitcoin up. Now, as you may know, oil has basically been down only since March. So, Bitcoin tops, everything gets hammered. But if oil is not going up or is not going down, oil down, Bitcoin up, gold and silver up, ETH up. You seeing a pattern here? Now, of course, that was a study done with me and some other guy. It's not published in a book. It's not on crypto Twitter. Even though there was math involved, it's basically a story at this point, just about history. You don't know if that's still in place because I don't have I can't do the econometrics that he could do. But I do have a talking point that everyone on Twitter doesn't have, because we know if they're all talking about it on Twitter, it's either outdated or flat out wrong. So let them talk about whatever it is they're talking about. It doesn't matter how you cut this. Being negative on Bitcoin at 84, 85, 86, 87, in my opinion, feels stupid. Even if the market trades like garbage. The market may trade like garbage. You got this kind of weird full moon thing going on the 4th. Okay, fine. Let it sit down here for 2 days and let it trade like garbage. And then we'll come back and visit you at the solstice. We'll put our Santa hats on and we'll come back and visit you. See how that goes. Right? See how that goes after the Bank of Japan, when they chicken out on raising rates, what actually happens to crypto. Tobie thinks it can make a new high this year. You know what? I was like, that may be a little bit a stretch. And then I saw the Bank of Japan meeting on the 18th, followed by the solstice. You want to talk about a Santa rally? I mean, let me ask you something. I think the people who see a Santa rally are only saying 100. Like, they're too scared to say 104 or 107 or 115. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to Michael Saylor's average price at 70. How about if it goes to Michael Saylor's average price for the year at 114? I'm just saying. Who's talking about that? Nobody. Maybe that's the flip with the Twitter thing, with the ISM graph. I'll look at the ISM graph, but I'm not going to look at Michael Saylor's average price for the year as a magnet, because Michael Saylor's an idiot after all. Whatever. God. So much stupid things to refute with real research. So little time. By the way, that's what we do here. Patreon loaded to the gills. VIP, middle tier, videos, charts, reports, everything. It is all there. You want to know what to do next? It's there. You want to know what you should be thinking about this market? You want to hear a 2026 preview? That was the YouTube member podcast. from yesterday, end of shill. GF is here. Zepedas, MJ Hits, members. Hal Lopez on early from Portugal. What's up? Fuzz Crypto, Christmas miracle. Oh, bro. Oh, God. It can happen. T-Bone, a Spartan Colonel. What's up? Bull Runner in the house. The end comes 2019. Something special is coming. Warmon, S. Jiki, welcome. Moon Sector 7, Alpha Video, all members. Rave Song Records, 6 cents. We have Nicolo coming to us from Italy, right? It could take a few months to a year to get back. Well, it could take a few months and a year to get back, maybe in MicroStrategy stock. But again, how much money do they have to print to win the midterms? They got to do all of that in the second and third quarter. That money has to be in the system and having an impact by June. Little hint for you there, right? MKV, Supermat coming in from the UK. Careful what you post on Facebook. Odd Dark banging away with those emojis that you can get for the $4.99 subscription. Okay. Kim Craig is here. What's going on? How low can we go? Well, you know, the Bank of Japan decides it wants to end the world at Christmas, it can go to 70. I mean, that is the old all-time high from, 2021. So, I guess if the world ends and the big short guys are right, it goes to 70. I'm just not doing that. I mean, what am I going to do? Hi, everybody. This is the market update. I'm now bearish. I loved it at 104, but at 85, I hate it because it's going to 70. I'm going to get out of my position and buy it back lower. Yeah, okay. All the people who want to buy it back lower, they're all going to pay. They're going to pay 108 if they're lucky, in my opinion. Who knows? I may get smoked. You never know. Yav is here. Cyber Punch. What's going on? MKV, right? Fars and Farzan. New numbers. By the way, welcome to the TikTok nation out there, right? T-Bone is like time in the market. BlackRock said this. Unfortunately, that's also how you knew it was going lower. BlackRock came out like a week and a half ago and said, time in the market is more important than timing the market. I should have known what that meant. But he's right, right? If you puke out your position when it's down, you wind up with literally a wealth destruction event versus hodling and in equities. There's compounding with dividends and interest from bonds. In crypto, it's just like, you hodl. You don't puke it out. If you can DCA in, great. And then if it moons, you look like a genius, right? I mean, if Bitcoin trades at 250K, you will be telling your kids stories about how everyone thought that, some esoteric thing in a foreign bond market resulted in Michael Saylor's image getting trashed by the Wall Street banks he's going to disrupt. And everybody thought crypto was going to go lower when in fact it was at 86K and was probably going to 3X. But, everyone hated it. It may be a story you tell your kids. It may be, right? Steven is here, right? I'm upset because I didn't take profits. Dude, don't worry about it. If you round trip stuff or you bought the wrong meme coin, I got 4 words for you. So what? Now what? Right? Call your accountant, deal with the garbage. Get out of the garbage so you can get in something new. If you got last cycle's trades, last cycle's meme coins, whatever. You coulda, shoulda, what? You know what? That list is so long. If you spend time doing that, then you're going to, God, the hedge funds don't have to distract you. It's a double distraction. And I understand. Look, man, there's no way to have this market not scare you. You think I wasn't scared down 6%? You don't think that there's stuff that, either I loved or I promoted or both that I didn't just have to round trip, whether it's like I chose to or I had to or both. Everyone's been through a round trip. The key is not to wind up short plus or minus 90 days of the banana zone move. You can have more volatility. You can run this thing up to 108, or you can run it up to 98, and then you can be in a range. I mean, if you want to find out what our scenarios are, you can tune into the YouTube member podcast. Or if you want to get right to the point with reports, executive summaries, tables, roadmaps, that's in Patreon Platinum. So you might want to jump in there and just go nuts, right? With the 4-year, I did DCA until I figured out technical analysis. Well, that's good. Okay. You know, somebody says we sold below 100. Now we buy below 100. Another person, Rock Blazer, says XRP is dead as soon as they make a stable coin. All right. Well, I think XRP is fast money. XRP and Zcash are similar. Zcash obviously has privacy. Ripple has a stablecoin platform. And again, if QNT is a leading indicator for XRP or for any coin like Stellar or Hedera or Cardano or any of that stuff that, you know, yesterday's a joke. It was nuclear. Don't touch it. Right? Whenever they start that, you want to just go the other way. And to quote Tobie, just figure out what everyone else is saying and then do the opposite. So that is the market update for today. We will see you tomorrow.